how to avoid a Medellin scenario in Venezuela. Well, today we are going to discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Medellin, the city of the eternal spring, probably one of the prettiest cities in the world, one of the most fun cities in the world, a beautiful city in Colombia overall. Shout out to all of my Paisa brothers over there. Medellin is great place, nice people, soul of the earth people. Also the Paisa culture, I love the Paisa culture. However, Medellin, everything is not perfect. However, in Medellin, there have been some issues recently. Not everything is perfect over there. Medellin has become a victim of their own success regarding, of course, the visitors from abroad, internationals, expats, especially Western expats, that have been going on droves over there to the city of the Eternal Spring, and that had led to some issues over there regarding first the gentrification. Medellin is getting more expensive regarding rentals and other amenities. And also that have brought some issues with the local population. Remember, Colombia is not exactly a rich country. And, when you see increases in everyday prices, that affects the average Colombian population over there. And that brought some issues, some miscues between the locals and the Western internationals. Also, regarding dating, many men go to Colombia, and some gals as well, in order to find love in the city of the Eternal Spring. And I know Medellin has an excellent dating market, a lot of beautiful, single, eligible bachelorettes, and also some eligible bachelors as well. But let's be honest, it's mostly women. That's why many men visit Medellin. Now, this particular issue, well, first, that increases what we call colloquially inflation, so becomes more expensive today over there in Medellin, if you know what I mean. And also, this is the most disturbing thing, this trend that some Western gentlemen have been drugged and robbed and kidnapped, and sadly, in some cases, let's say on lifts, and sadly, God forbid that something like that happens to you. And on those particular issues regarding dating and using websites like Tinder over there, or going to places like Parquelleras over there in Colombia. I know it's a very popular spot. And that is increasing some safety concerns. Actually, just recently, the U.S. State Department sound an alarm, a red flag to U.S. citizens regarding dating over there. So be careful regarding dating, using dating apps like Tinder in Colombia, especially on Medellin. And the particular MO that those bad people that you have in Medellin, of course you have bad people over there. Most of the Colombian people are cool people, soul of the earth people, nice people. However, there are a few rotten apples, and also there is a significant cohort of my fellow Venezuelans, sadly, that are involved on those particular issues. But believe me, mostly, let's say Colombians have their own tricks under their sleeves, so it's not like they need the assistance of Venezuelans over there. But here's what happens, and here's how these people operate. They take very innocent or unprecautious Western expats that mainly they don't know how things work over there, and they start, going around, going to places like Parquelleras, or doing it online in platforms like Tinder or Instagram as well. And they set up a date, something of that nature, with a beautiful, hot Colombian young girl, and usually on their own homes or Airbnbs or hotels, so on. But the victims, usually Western expats, they get assaulted, they get robbed, they get stripped from their possessions, watches, cell phones, on particular cases, even their crypto apps and wallets and so on. So they are stripped from their crypto savings. And this is no joke, not matter of a laugh. And also the most popular MO is using a drug called scopolamine that is mostly like a drug that makes you sleepy, makes you, lose your conscience. And they slip this particular drug on the drink, on a bar or something of that nature, on a particular party. So the victim gets robbed, gets drugged, and after that, they get stripped from their possessions. And on some particular cases, sadly, pass to another life. And the situation is getting worse regarding these particular MOs in this particular incident. However, is the same thing in Venezuela? Well, the answer is no. First, we don't have as much visitors compared to Colombia, so we don't have that volume, so it's not, let's say, profitable for a local gang in order to pull off some particular schemes regarding, targeting Western men, Western expats, coming here to Venezuela in order to date or meet beautiful local women. The second thing is that thanks to the diaspora that we have of over 7 million people, actually we still, of course, have crime. We are in Latin America. However, most of the crime here in Venezuela is concentrated on particular areas and realms of the society that is run by organized crime. So it's not like they are targeting average population, let alone tourists, because targeting tourists is not profitable here in Venezuela for, these particular brands, these particular gangs, and so on. So the crime here is organized, actually, and of course you can see a couple of cases of random crimes here. But the people that used to commit these random crimes against the population, actually, they left the country. Most of them were from a particular gang. It's called Tren de Aragua. And even then, they don't do that. They don't commit these particular crimes because they are a bigger organization. And they are not organized. Usually, the lower levels of these particular gangs are the ones committing those crimes. But most of them just left the country. They are in places like Peru, Colombia, by the way, a important cohort, Chile, places like that. So it's not they are not here in the country. Those particular crimes are not being committed in the country. The reason is that here in Venezuela, since a lot of times, since like 100 years ago or so, Venezuelans, we have the culture of treating very well the international, especially the Western international. And please, I know that it's discrimination against the people, internationals that are not from the West, but it is what it is. So Venezuelans have a culture of treating very well the international. So we don't have as much cases of the gringo prices or tricking internationals in order to get something out of them illegally, like these particular random cases in Colombia. I know in Colombia, most people treat well internationals as well, but it's not the same thing as Venezuela. And we don't have those particular schemes of, of destroying the confidence of internationals for us. And lastly, and this is going to sound funny, but actually in Venezuela, believe it or not, law enforcement is more harsh than in Colombia. And sounds silly, sounds crazy, but it is. Local authorities are more harsh against criminals and so on. Here in the country, there are some random cases, but I have to say they are very rash. So the consequences in order to engage in such activities here are far greater than you see in Colombia. All the reason yet that I have to compare Venezuela and Colombia, and please, if you are from Colombia, take it with a grain of salt. I love Colombia and I love Colombian people. However, in Colombia, they have this culture of narco culture, drug culture, violence, gang culture, and so on, that we in Venezuela don't have. And if we have it, it's in a way lesser degree. So, well, I'm not going to say that we don't have cartels. I mean, that's not on my pay grade. However, it's not the same thing compared to Colombia. Basically, especially in Medellin, that this culture, narco culture, comes mostly from Colombia and Mexico. We don't have that culture, of course. I'm not going to say that we have drug dealings and stuff like that. But however, we don't have those issues in Venezuela. I mean, not on the same degree as Colombia. Basically, it was a civil war that at some moment in time, Colombia had regarding drug culture, and we never had those. And actually, on those years, on those decades, we received around 5 million Colombians here in the country. So, and I'm not saying that Venezuelan people are better people than Colombian people. I'm not saying that. Believe me, Colombian people are cool people, great people. Same thing in Venezuela. We are good people. Most Venezuelans, not all, but most Venezuelans are very good people, cool people to hang out with. And that's kind of the difference why in Venezuela you're going to see, or if you see it on a lesser degree than in Colombia. For instance, I don't think anyone in Venezuela can not even spell scopolamine or something of that nature, of that thing when they have two men on a bike and one of them is a shooter or something like that. I mean, we don't have those things, and we have it very, very niche on a certain degree. Now, if you come here and you want to be safe and you want to avoid Medellin scenario here, first, you're not gonna see a place like Parquelleras in Colombia. That here in Venezuela we don't have a place like those. So everything is more spread out. So it's more of a networking thing, know what you're doing, always tell you that. And so you're not going to become a mark if you go to a particular place in Venezuela in order to engage in certain activities. Also, most likely you're going to stay on a very good area, safe area in Venezuela. Let's say the east side of Caracas. You're going to be fine on those particular places. And I know Colombia also has very nice, safer areas as well. Very good. And so after that, you're going to do your networking thing. You're going to mingle on particular areas surrounding entourages and so on. And it's not a culture. I mean, it's not an organized modus operandi that they're going to see a Western expat and they're going to attack him, or going to do harm to him with those particular schemes that you see in Colombia, especially in Medellin. And lastly, I have to mention this. Also, we don't receive as much quantity of Western internationals. However, we have a better quality of Venezuelan internationals. Regarding that, going to Colombia is very, very easy for a Western international, especially the United States. So you attract, I'm not saying that all of the Western expats that go to Colombia, especially Medellin, are unsophisticated, but a very significant cohort of Venezuela, of Western internationals go over there. Meanwhile, in order to enter to Venezuela, it's way difficult. So you have like a bouncer, imagine a bouncer outside of the club, and our bouncer is much bigger than the one in let's say, Colombia as a club. And getting here in Venezuela is way, way more difficult. Venezuela is a little bit more expensive compared to Colombia, but also it depends. So it cannot even out. For instance, I would say that most Venezuelan cities are cheaper than Medellin. And I will say that we don't have an expensive city like Cartagena. Let's put it that way. So you're going to see less internationals, less Western internationals, but the ones that you're going to see are more sophisticated, usually people working for an international government or for an international company, also sophisticated tourists, especially Latin expats that are experts in Latin America. Most likely they already speak Spanish or they can communicate Spanish. Also are wealthier. The average Western international that comes to Venezuela is wealthier than the average Western that visits Colombia, by the way. So there is more of a sophisticated area amongst the Western internationals, and they don't incur on the same activities that some of the Western internationals that visit Colombia. So I'm going to wrap this video saying, please take this information with a grain of salt. It's not like we have that much official data, but this is the trend that I see of both Venezuela and Colombia. And if you're Colombian, please take it with a grain of salt. I know that you guys are excellent people and you take care of your own people, the people that you like. Same here in Venezuela. We take care of our own people. And I know that you guys here over there in Colombia, they take care of the Venezuelans, except for a few, xenophobic rotten apples. And we take care here of Colombians as well. And we take care of internationals as well. We have this culture of treating well the foreigner, the international. I know the bureaucracy in order to get to the country is dreadful if you're American and Canadian. If you're a Western European, you can come easily to Venezuela. And for the rest, depends on each particular case. So I'm going to end this video right here, and I cannot wait to read your comments below, especially if you have been in Medellin.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.